Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Show. I'm Rich Davie and it's Thursday, November 20th, 2014. On today's show, I'll be discussing the TUF 20 Episode 9 show that featured the fight between Felice Herrig and Randa Markos, and I'll talk about some other news surrounding this episode as well. Okay, getting started. The TUF 20 Episode 9 show that featured the fight between Felice Herrig and Randa Markos took place Wednesday, November 19th, 2014, and aired on the Fox Sports 1 network at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. This was the first quarterfinal fight of the season of TUF, and it proved to be an interesting fight due to the fact that Randa Markos shook things up once again. Taking a look at Felice Herrig and Randa Markos. Felice Herrig is 30 years old and hails from the USA. She has a record of 9 wins and 5 losses and was ranked number 6 in the first episode of the season. Felice Herrig defeated number 11 ranked fighter Heather Jo Clark in her first fight on TUF 20 to move on in the tournament to face number 14 ranked fighter Randa Markos in the first quarterfinal fight on this season of TUF. Felice Herrig has 1 win by TKO, 2 wins by submission, and 6 wins by decision. All 5 of Felice Herrig's losses are by decision, and Felice Herrig was the favorite to win this matchup since she was the higher-ranked fighter in Episode 1, but Randa Markos obviously had other plans. And moving on to Randa Markos. Randa Markos is 29 years old and hails from Canada. She has a record of 4 wins and 1 loss and was ranked number 14 in the first episode of the season. Randa Markos defeated one of the top-ranked fighters in her first fight this season on TUF to move into the tournament to face Felice Herrig, and that fight was against the number 3 ranked Tecia Torres. Randa was all business in Episode 9, stating that she wanted to win this more than Felice Herrig did, and she showed that she took this fight seriously. Randa Markos has 3 wins by submission and 1 by way of decision. And in her loss column, Randa Markos has only 1 loss, and that is by way of decision. That loss happened to be against one of the fighters that is also on this season of TUF, but was forced to drop out of the competition due to an injury, and that would be Justine Kish. I mentioned on the preview show that I had noticed a few hints, clues, and a couple of rumors as well, so I'll restate those here just in case you missed those from the preview show. Going completely outside the skills of the 2 fighters, there were several reasons that made me think that Randa Markos might win the first quarterfinal fight of the season against Felice Herrig. Number 1, Carla Sqor expressed in an interview before TUF 20 season aired that she has a problem with Randa Markos. Number 2, the Carla Sqor issue with Randa Markos was evident in the TUF 20 Episode 9 teaser. I thought the lingering bad blood that Esparza had for Markos might have had something to do with Markos defeating Herrig in Episode 9, being that Felice is Carla's BFF. Number 4, in one of the TUF 20 season teasers, Felice Herrig was crying in one of the gym scenes and being consoled by one of the other girls, which led me to believe that Felice probably lost one of her fights. Number 5, after the Episode 8 show, Tecia Torres was asked on the TUF Talk show who she thought was the most overrated fighter and the most underrated fighter in the TUF house, and Tecia said that Randa Markos is most definitely underrated and should not have been ranked number 14 in the first episode. And as I mentioned on the preview show, that could have been due to the fact that Randa Markos defeated Tecia Torres in the first fight of the season, but that it might also have had something to do with the potential outcome of the fight between Herrig and Markos. Number 6, I also saw a couple of comments by fans out there on the internet that were claiming that Randa had leaked to her friends that she beat Felice Herrig in this fight. And if that did in fact happen, that might be a bit of a problem for Randa since the fighters on TUF have to sign a confidentiality agreement. But I had no idea whether or not those rumors were true because it looks like they were coming from, fans that weren't really fans of Felice Herrig. I also noticed that there was some bad blood between Felice and Randa, and I thought that both of these ladies would want to get a finish in this fight to make a statement. They were both certainly, putting that sort of atmosphere out about themselves where they both seem to have, bad blood between the two of them, and it looked like they wanted to hurt each other, to say the least. But in the end, I decided to ignore all of those little hints and clues that I presented. I saw those things out there on the internet, and a couple of times that I did speculate on things like that I saw out there, I wound up on the wrong side of the outcome. And those couple of times that I run into the clues that I thought were obvious were with the fights between Angela Hill versus Carla Esparza and the Tisha Torres versus Beck Rawlings fight. As far as the Angela Hill situation goes, I thought Angela Hill would defeat Carla Esparza due to uncertain mindset that it seemed that Carla had just before their fight, in addition to Carla not fighting for a little over a year. But I wound up on the wrong side of that one there, because Carla Esparza had really not much of a problem defeating Angela Hill. As far as the Beck Rawlings and Tisha Torres fight goes, I don't know. I thought that Tisha would lose to Beck Rawlings because she was complaining about an injury on the TUF Talk show that aired after episode 1, and I found it hard to believe that she could have healed so quickly, because it could only have been a matter of weeks before that fight took place. So I didn't think that she was going to be fully healed, and if that was in fact a legitimate injury, that would probably still be bothering her in the fight with Beck Rawlings. But Tisha came out strong in that one there, and she won that fight pretty much with not too much of a problem. I actually thought that one maybe should have gone to another round there, but when all was said and done, Tisha Torres won that fight against Beck Rawlings. Okay, as far as my prediction for this fight went, I actually wanted to pick Felice to win, but I also was tempted to pick Randa Markos to win as well. In my notes for the preview show that I initially had, I wound up changing my notes there because I originally had Randa Markos winning by 7-2, but at the last minute before I recorded the show, I decided to toss out, and ignore all of those rumors and hints for this matchup, since I was wrong, the 2 times in the past that I speculated before. So I went with Felice Herrig to win by decision, and obviously I should have listened to my initial gut feeling there. Okay, so as far as this fight goes here, as I mentioned in the opening, Randa really wasn't playing around in this episode here, and she really wanted to get this win here. She was on a mission in this fight to make a statement, and she certainly did that by taking out Felice Herrig by submission in round 1. Randa was much stronger than I expected against Felice, and I thought that Felice would easily be able to overpower Randa when the 2 ladies would tie up, but that wasn't the case. I thought that Felice might also have the advantage in leverage as well, and that combined with what I thought would be a strength and advantage for Felice, I thought that would prove to be an obstacle for Randa to overcome. But again, that proved not to be the case either. With that said, I thought Felice was actually getting the better of Randa early on, and even though Felice was struggling with taking Randa down, Felice seemed to be a bit stronger when things hit the ground, as Felice's efforts to take Randa down were somewhat nullified, and the takedowns were a little bit sloppy, but Felice managed to overpower Randa and wound up on top in a couple of instances when it did go down to the mat. So actually I had Felice outscoring Randa up until Randa got a hold of Felice's arm, and Felice tapped fairly quickly to that arm bar. To be honest, I was a bit surprised at how easily Randa finished Felice with that arm bar, and I saw a lot of comments out there bashing Felice on tapping so quickly to what some were calling a submission move that is supposed to be easy to defend against. And on the flip side of that argument, I saw others stating that the armbar was a bit tricky and that it was coming from an awkward position. I'm going to go ahead and give both ladies a bit of credit here. It looked to me like the latter was the case rather than the former. To me, it certainly looked like Randa pulled off a slick and unusual armbar from an awkward position, And even though Felice didn't do a whole lot to escape from the submission, it looked like the unusual and awkward position made her realize, after briefly holding off on tapping out, that she was caught in a bad way. And it's always better to tap out rather than suffer a broken arm. And Randa looked as if she was actually thinking about snapping Felice's arm there, because Randa didn't exactly let up on the arm bar straight away. And Felice had to actually tap a couple of times before Randa decided to let go of the arm. So, Randa Markos defeats Felice Herrig by submission due to a modified armbar in round one. Okay, and with that win, Randa Markos proved that the rankings of the women in the season opener might have been a bit skewed, as number 14 Randa Markos has now defeated the number 3 and the number 6 ranked fighters, as determined by DFW and the powers that be. Randa Markos will now be moving on in the competition to fight the winner of one of the other quarterfinal bouts, and that bout is the number 2 ranked Joanne Calderwood versus the number 7 ranked Rose Namajunas. Okay, I'm going to talk about some of the other happenings on this episode, and I'll wrap things up with a couple of comments about the fight, the hate for Felice Herrig and Carlos Sqor that it has grown after this episode, and another clue as to what may be taking place in the remaining episodes. Okay, let's start with the Coach's Challenge. The Coach's Challenge was a game of trivia, very much like the game show Jeopardy! Gilbert Melendez dominated in the Coach's Challenge, never trailing at any point during the game, but at one point during the game was tied with 600 points each, but Gilbert ran away with things in the second half of the game. Round 2 ended with Anthony Pettis scoring 900 total points and Gilbert Melendez scoring 1,800 total points. In the final round of the game, called Sudden Victory, which is pretty much the same as Final Jeopardy, where you can wager any part of your earnings, Pettis wagered all of his 900 points on the final question, and Melendez wagered 0 points. And the final question in the Sudden Victory round was, how many title defenses does Anderson Silva have in the UFC? Both Pettis and Melendez answered 9, which was incorrect. The correct answer was 10, and this left Anthony Pettis with 0 points and Gilbert Melendez with 1,800 points. So Gilbert Melendez wins the Coach's Challenge, earning him the $10,000 prize and earning each member of Team Melendez $1,500. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened if both of the guys did pick 10, which was the correct answer, because that would have left them in a tie. And I wonder if what would have happened there would the coaches have split the $10,000, getting $5,000 each, and would the ladies on each team had to have split, the $1,500 each, maybe, getting $750 each rather than the $1,500. So that would have been interesting to see what would have happened there. But in any event, Gilbert Melendez wins the Coach's Challenge, earning the $10,000 prize and earning each of the members of Team Melendez $1,500. Okay, let's move on to some of the catty drama that seems to be on every episode this season. Team Pettis' team decided to split into 2 training teams, since the remaining Team Pettis fighters will all be fighting each other, and they decided to train in 2 shifts, 1 day shift and 1 night shift. And not all the girls were okay with that plan. Right off the bat, some of them expressed that they weren't crazy about that. And some of the ladies, expressed that they wanted to train as much as possible to maximize their time in the gym. So some of the ladies decided to forego the split shift training, and this, of course, caused some additional drama and friction, as those ladies who wanted to get in as much training as possible did so. They pretty much ignored the agreement that was made, when they had their group meeting. And when Anthony Pettis was questioned about the decision to train in split shifts, Pettis stated that the ladies wanted to maximize their training, and he really couldn't tell them that they can't train when they're there to actually train and win, the belt. So fully understandable as to why the ladies didn't want to honor that agreement there. But again, was it really an agreement when it was forced upon the ladies who didn't really want to do it? There were 3 ladies, I believe, that didn't want to do it. So can't really say that it was an agreement if 3 of the ladies didn't want to do it and 3 of them did. It was kind of forced upon the ladies to take up that split shift training. So probably going forward here, that split shift training probably isn't going to hold true. All right. I also wanted to say that I'm really becoming a fan of Tecia Torres. She's all business and she takes her MMA career seriously, as she has shown on the season of TUF. I mean, yeah, she had that bad break early on in that fight against Randa Markos there, but she came back and she stated that she has absolutely zero interest in the childish drama that's been going on in the house. And the same goes for Lisa Ellis and Joanne Calderwood. And as far as the TUF house drama goes, Randa didn't really seem all that interested in the house drama either. Tecia Torres wound up moving out of the room late at night when Team Melendez' team decided to hold a drinking slumber party in honor of Rose Namajunas' sole victory for Team Melendez, which kept Tecia Torres from being able to sleep. So Tecia decided to move into another room with Lisa Ellis. Maybe now there'll be a little less drama in the house, but I seriously doubt it because it seems like these ladies live for that sort of thing. And I don't know, I see a lot of people out there saying that this is what ladies are really like. And I've also, checked out a couple of other women who are MMA fighters, and they said that this is the way that women are. Women are just catty and they don't like each other. And I've seen a couple of ladies say that, they'd rather hang out with men than women because, this is prevalent when you're hanging out with a group of women. Again, a lot of people are complaining about that. A lot of people don't like to really see the catty high school bullshit going on that we see here. But I don't know. I think, with all the negative comments out there about, the high school drama going on with the girls, that this might be one of the last seasons where they have an all-female cast on TUF. I don't know how the ratings are on this. I do know that the shows that we're doing, the preview and recap shows, I know that they're getting some views and there's some interest there. So, I don't know. I'm going to guess that even with all the catty drama, maybe the shows are still doing well as far as, the TUF shows I'm speaking about. So maybe the ratings aren't being impacted by that because it seems that there are people that hate it and there are people that love it. But the hardcore MMA fans and a lot of the guys I'm seeing more so than the females, the guys really don't care for the catty bullshit going on with the girls. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll end, and let's hope it doesn't impact the fandom of some of these fighters here because I see that some of the people on Felice Herrig's fan page are really giving her a hard time. And being that I'm moving on to that, let's go ahead and speak about the growing hate that I'm seeing out there on the internet for Felice Herrig and Carlos Esparza. Both Felice Herrig and Carlos Esparza are taking a bashing from so many fans for the things that they've said on the show and the way that they're acting and the way that they're coming across on this season. Some of it might be due to editing, as we've heard from other fighters complain about this in the past. Most recently, Ronda Rousey was complaining about this. Rousey stated after season 18 of TUF that she didn't appreciate the way that the show was edited and that the show was edited to make her look bad. And she said, being that that's the way that things turned out, she likely would never do another season of TUF again. Felice is also stating that the show has been edited to hype up the drama between certain ladies and that certain ladies weren't being broadcast on the show and their drama wasn't being put on the show and edited in or edited out, however you want to phrase that, and that Randa is actually being portrayed in a more favorable light than she should have been. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that because I'm not an editor. I'm not seeing the raw footage on that, but I guess it does make sense that the editors are trying to get a little more drama in there. But again, the hardcore MMA fans, especially the male fans, they don't like to see that sort of thing. I myself, I also didn't like the drama and the drunken bullshit going on with the guys that are in the TUF house when they smash up $1 million home. I mean, that's really childish bullshit. I mean, and you can make excuses and say, oh, well, there's nothing better to do. There are better things to do than have catty bullshit arguments and playing the little games of hate and animosity that go on. And as far as the guys go, smashing up the house and getting into fights with each other, because we've seen some guys actually get in fights and, you know, get thrown off the show too. So I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't show that stuff there. I mean, the Bellator version of TUF that they had on for a while, I kind of like that show because there wasn't all the drama going on and the shenanigans by the fighters and things like that. It was more fighting oriented as far as the fighting and the training. But apparently, I don't know what the reason for that was. It may have been because that format wasn't fully embraced and accepted by the fans. But it may also have been that at that time when the Fight Masters show was on from Bellator, that there was a lot of bullshit going on with Rebney as far as giving the fighters a hard time with contracts and things like that. And I know a lot of MMA fans were not really supportive of Bellator at that time, so that may have had something to do with the failed format of Fight Masters as well. But I think, maybe the TUF show should try to go in more of a direction of the training of the fighters and the backstory of the fighters, and concentrate more on fighting than all of the drama. I mean, do we really need to see that drama? A lot of people are going to say yes because it's a reality show, but if you're really looking on developing fan interest in the up and coming fighters and the fighters that you want to showcase for that are coming into contracts for the Ultimate Fighter, maybe you shouldn't do all that shit because it turns a lot of people off. But in any event, DFW did make a comment recently saying that the next season of TUF, which is happening in 2015, is going to have some new twists and changes to it. So who knows? Maybe they'll sway away from the drama that goes on in the house. But as far as the editing goes, like I said there, Felice did make some comments about how the editing went. And reading from Felice Herrig's Fanpage comments, this is coming directly from comments that Felice had to say about the editing. She said, they did show me hug her. They did show me give her a friendship bracelet. They did show me make her ginger shots to celebrate her win. They did not show me helping and advising her on her gym situation and wanting to fire her manager, which apparently that did transpire because I did notice that Randa Markos does apparently have new management, and she did put a notice out there not to go to her old page because that's no longer up to date. So I guess maybe her old management was managing that page, and she now has new management. But I don't know, it seems that we got lost in the shuffle of things there because Randa was actually supposed to come on the show and do an interview with us. I spent a couple of days writing up the show to do an interview with her covering her entire career from beginning to current day, and they did not get back to me. So who knows? I don't know if they just decided not to do the interview with us for whatever reason that may be. But in any event, they didn't get back to me. I actually contacted whoever it was that Randa wanted me to contact because Randa initially agreed to do the interview with us. And then I sent her all the information on what it was that we were doing and how we were going to do the show. And she said she definitely wanted to do it. I told her, what the conditions were and how I needed to set things up. And then she passed me off to somebody else. I then contacted that individual. I explained to him how the process worked for doing the interview shows that we do, called the MMA Roundtable Discussion Show. And he contacted me saying that she would be available to do the show on October 7th or October 9th. And they never got a hold of me again other than to contact me one time saying, hey, Rich, how you doing today? That was the last I heard from them. So I don't know if I'm ever going to be doing that interview with Randa Markos or not, but apparently she had a shift in management, and maybe her new management isn't handling things the proper way for her. But I did see that she's done several interviews after she agreed to do the interview with me, so don't know what the hell is up with that at all. As far as the other comments that Felice made, she said that they did not show Randa turning up the oven to burn her food, and that they edited a lot of that out on the show, and that was done a lot to her, where they burned her food so that she couldn't eat. So that's a pretty dirty fucking trick to do too. But who knows if that's true or not? I mean, again, that was never released. Maybe at some point or another there'll be some backroom footage that we'll get to see at some point or another, or maybe some other women will come out and confirm that. But again, we also saw some of the other ladies come out. Joanne Calderwood actually came out and said that Beck Rawlings and Angela Lagana, they're just not nice people. So coming from Joanne Calderwood, she always seems to be very cool, very laid back. For her to say that, obviously there's some things going on and some editing going out that maybe Joanne might have expressed that during the show at some point or another, but again, maybe that was edited out. Who knows? As far as other comments that Felice made in that same post from her fan page, she said she put herself out there for Randa Markos, and she was just a mean and nasty person in return. But by the time this episode came about, Carla and I were over it with no TV, music, or any form of outside entertainment. We just made light of it, and that came across as us being mean on TV. So I guess maybe that had something to do with the patty cake game that the two of them made up there. I saw a lot of people complaining about that as well. But Felice goes on to say, so there you have it, truth is truth. If you don't like me, leave the page. But I'm always going to be me, and that means being genuine and honest. If you're a bitch, I'll let you know about it. To be honest, I got a bit of a headache reading some of the comments from Felice's haters. I mean, I follow Felice on most of her social networking stuff, and I typically read the comments to get a feel of what fans are thinking and feeling about certain fighters. And like I said, man, I'm getting a bit of a headache, listening to some of the haters. I don't get why, if you hate somebody so badly, why would you go to their page just to hate and troll and make yourself look like a fool? I don't know. It's a bit pathetic for individuals to go onto a fighter's fan page and troll them with insulting comments and posting unflattering memes on the fighter's page. One of the haters on Felice's page was a 65-year-old man who was acting like a child and just continually carrying on with insults. But then again, like I said, I see that from a lot of haters on Felice's fan page. It seems like, they sign up and go to her page just to hate her. Kind of childish to do that. I mean, don't you have better things to do in your life than go on somebody's page and troll them? But I don't know, man. I guess it gives some of these male haters a bit of a cheap thrill to shit talk a women MMA fighter over the internet when, in reality, they're likely just overcompensating for their own shortcomings to make themselves feel better about their inadequacies. How else can you explain it other than that way, or to just say they're misogynists? I don't know. But I don't know. It's very much like so many individuals pretending to want to engage in intelligent, meaningful political discourse on the internet and other media, when in reality, they don't honestly want to have an intelligent conversation at all due to the fact that they're not taking issues seriously. They'd rather have, a selfish, predetermined personal agenda, which is more of an ideological game for them to promote their flawed, illogical point of view and, make a game out of things. I don't know. And no intelligent conversation is going to come from an individual who's got such closed-minded and preconceived notions, when they're setting out to really do nothing but prove a point or just stand behind a one-sided point. I mean, the whole idea of debate and discourse is to actually have and present both sides of an argument and openly listen to the arguments. But, you don't see that a lot today from people. I mean, people are just so fractured today. It's it's all or one, and it's an us versus them sort of mentality today, in so many ways and on so many levels. I don't know. It's truly pathetic to see what we're seeing with some grown adults today. In the world nowadays, it seems like you have people that simply want to mock situations and actually discuss and debate things in an earnest and intelligent manner. Everything seems to be a joke or a game to so many people who, like I was saying earlier there, who really, their only hope is to garner favor from those minds as simple as theirs and who simply are incapable of grasping the true matter of what are serious issues. And again, it's probably just to tout themselves and promote themselves, and it's really kind of pathetic because what good is doing that? I mean, yeah, you'll get people to agree with you, but presenting one side of the story and laughing and making light of things when you're not even intelligently looking at the full ramifications of what you're discussing is really kind of pathetic. But without going on too much further into politics there, let me just move on here. Moving on to the bad blood between Randa Markos and Carla Esparza. As I mentioned in several of the shows that I've done for this season so far, the hard feelings that Carla expressed in an interview video of a group of the ladies from the season of TUF prior to the start of the season of TUF likely has to do with Randa defeating Felice Herrig. And I guess if you mess with Carla's BFF, there is going to be lingering bad blood. And that's certainly panning out to be true here because it doesn't look like Carla Esparza really is ever going to let up on Randa Markos here. The Tough Talk show that aired after episode 9 was full of animosity between Markos and Esparza. The two ladies went back and forth at each other in quite an aggressive manner. They were actually pretty rude to each other. Both of them were rude. And I don't know, it was probably a good thing that the two of them weren't in the same room because I believe Randa was in Canada and she was appearing over some sort of broadcast media. I don't know if it was Skype or what, but Carla was actually in the room with Karen Bryant and Marcos was on the screen. So again, like I said, probably a good thing that the two of them weren't there in the same room with each other, as it likely would have gone to blows with them because they were not only at it verbally in a rude manner, disrespecting each other basically, but they probably would have gone at it physically as well because they didn't seem to be in control of themselves on that show there. If you get a chance to watch it, it was the Tough Talk episode 9 post-event show. I've seen it out there on the internet. I'll post it up on the MMA Chat forum if you want to check it out. So with what transpired on the Tough Talk show between Markos and Esparza, I don't see their rivalry subsiding at any time in the near future. It'd be nice if they didn't have to have that sort of thing, but I guess, a lot of fighters are embracing that sort of bickering, going back and forth and having the rivalries, embracing it, hoping that it's going to garner more fans. I know that a lot of fans on Felice Herrig's page were saying that they were going to, quit her page, and she was telling them to quit. And I was looking at the likes on Felice's page, and despite all the people that were saying they were leaving her page, she's actually gone up in page likes. So apparently a lot of people do like the bickering and the silliness going on back and forth there. So doesn't seem to be impacting Felice Herrig as much as a lot of the fans said that they were going to leave her page, because a lot of fans said they were fans of Felice and Carla before that episode 9 show, but a lot of them don't care for them now with all the childish mean drama going back and forth. And Carla's actually said some bad things as well about Tisha Torres. I mentioned that on a couple of other shows. I didn't say what it was that she said because I thought it was totally disrespectful, but very mean-spirited things that Carla says there. And I don't know. We'll find out what happens here, but let's go on here to the other clue as to what may be taking place in the remaining episodes. On the post episode 9 Tough Talk show, not only did I notice a couple of clues inadvertently dropped by Randa Markos, but one of the other show's listeners named Camera Eye 21 picked up on some things that Randa Markos said as well on the show that led both of us to believe that she will be fighting in the finale for the belt. And as we all know here, the show was recorded a few months ago, so none of what we're witnessing on this season of TUF is actually live. The only part of the season that remains is the finale after the episodes finish airing on Fox Sports 1. And when Randa was asked who is the most overrated fighter in the house, Randa replied, Carla is the most overrated fighter in the house. And as you all know, Carla Esparza is ranked number one, and she was ranked number one from the season one show. And for Randa to say something like that, that leads us to believe if she has the opinion that Carla is the most overrated fighter, that maybe Carla did in fact lose a fight. Randa also said, hopefully I will win the belt. And being that Randa made that bit of a slip up saying that hopefully I will win, that pretty much suggests that she has not been eliminated from the competition for the belt. So that kind of leads you to believe there that Randa may be fighting for the belt. If that's the case, then that means she's also going to probably beat her next fighter there. But if that's the case, that's going to eliminate one of my favorites from the show as well. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But no telling here. But let's move on here. On the next episode, we're going to see number 5, Aislinn Daly versus number 4, Jessica Penny in the second quarter final fight that will be featured on episode 10 next Wednesday. Also, I guess we're going to be seeing at some point in the near future Joanne Calderwood versus Rose Namajunas. That should be a great fight. Both of those ladies are two of my favorites. Hate to see either one of those two get eliminated. And like I said there earlier, Randa is going to be facing the winner of that fight there. So if that little clue that she left earlier there, where we think that she is going to be fighting for the belt, that means that she may in fact beat the winner of Namajunas versus Calderwood. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks again for listening to our TUF 20 recap and preview series that we've been doing on the MMA Live Chat Show. And if you'd like to join us on the show to chat about some MMA, talk about the TUF 20 season, or give your MMA fight predictions, or discuss post-event shows that we do, we'd love to have you join us. Just go over to the MMA Chat forums where we plan shows, create an account, and let us know that you'd like to join us so we can give you access to the area of the site where we plan and coordinate the shows. The link to the forums is in the description of the video, and you can also find our other social networking links there as well. Okay, people, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.